What's going on again, guys? Okay, so I had to do a lot of work to be able to like clear up some space in order to record some more. I got it bonked on the freaking nose with a branch. Man, I got beat up on this trip. My hands are just like destroyed. My whole body's destroyed. I'm exhausted, but here we go. All right, let's do this again. So I was gonna do this video, but then I kind of messed it up. So I went too fast. Anyway, so let's flip this around. All right, so here's the camp. So that's kind of a trash pile that needs to get thrown away, but this is where my campsite is. You can see it's like the hot of the day, so it does get really great shade during the hottest parts of the day, and then that one kind of takes over. These other ones take over. I got my nice little fireplace built up that was working beautifully. I have firewood stacked up ready for the next time I come up. For at least a couple nights. I've got a lot more that I need to bring over to this area. And then this tree still has to go. I did a ton of work with my chainsaw on this trip, but I definitely need to get a new chain, and I think I kind of tweaked the bar, so I'm going to go ahead and get a new bar for my chainsaw also. But let's take a look at this. This was a huge accomplishment. Boom! Check this out. I cannot believe I didn't realize that this smaller side, that this is smaller, right? So this is supposed to be the bottom, and that's because the top has, it's like, it's much wider, it's thinner, you know. Basically, it probably would have been fine for the dogs. I wouldn't have even had to worry about it. But now that I fucking hung the fence upside down, I have to put something around the inside of it, down around the bottom, to make sure the dogs don't try to escape out of it or stick their head and squeeze themselves through one of those big holes. But that was kind of an annoying part. But anyway, you live and you learn. A lot of this stuff I'm doing for the very first time, and so I'm having to figure it out, and I'm making mistakes. And you know, you kind of like figure out your mistake. You figure out, you got to do it over again. How can you fix it? Is there a way you can just kind of tweak it to make it work? And that's kind of just the way you do things. So anyway, let's see. So this is technically not my property, but because my neighbor and I both know that this is kind of neat, like it could be his, you know, it could be mine, and you know, but neither of us are in dispute. I got this massive pile built up. It goes about 12 feet long too. So that's one of the like biggest chores. It's not just all the saw work. It's a lot of saw work. I've got a smaller saw I'm using, and it's not super thick wood, but it is very dense wood. It's hard. Like, not to mention my chainsaw at this point is just starting to get worked. As far as like the chain, it needs a new chain. Like, I even looked at it and it started to bust. So here, let's check this out. We got this. That actually, I need to go find that. I'm not even going to try to dig that out. I might try to get another slab out of that later, if I dig out around it and maybe can figure something out there. Maybe, we'll see. What I mean is, I got a really cool piece of wood cut off of that. The area where I think my dad's probably going to want to put his trailer. There's a lot of nice shade in here. There's a lot of nice places you could set stuff up. I need to get more cut out here. That stuff's attached at the bottom, but I got a bunch cut out in here. And if you come to this tree, you can see I got a bunch cut out in here. So making space. So that's another like little spot. That's where I do my 3-point turn and turn around. So coming up this way from the bottom of the property. I cleaned up a little bit more around the bottom of this. So I kind of want to take another piece off of that, but that was like the last priority. And honestly, my chainsaw, I just been doing so much work on it that there's a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff I'm just gonna have to, like, you know, like, I'm gonna need to get another chainsaw to do some of this bigger work. And then I need to get this other chainsaw like serviced up a little bit, get that new bar, new chain on it. That way, when I come back to do some like real cutting work, because I'm gonna end up whittling all these big down. Like, I have another huge pile here. This is kind of like almost like separates the border. Like, that stuff's really just drying. Eventually I'm gonna pull it all out. I'm gonna clean a lot of it up with chainsaw, and I'm gonna like basically, you know, make poles out of all of it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make juniper poles that you could use for fencing, anything. You know what I mean? I don't know what I'll end up using them for. I could end up chopping them as firewood, but I'm just gonna have them as like 5-foot poles and just clear everything else off of it. And I'm just gonna burn everything, and I'll just keep all those poles. Yeah. I mean, mostly I'll probably just end up burning it for wood, but like here I got a bunch. I started kind of learning the smarter way to do it. Like, it's much more of a pain in the ass to try to clear some of the smaller stuff off at the end, so I'm going to start trying to like clear off the smaller stuff and keep it in bigger, and then that way I can just leave the larger like logs and bigger pieces to dry before I'm just like whacking them into chop sizes. But it's a good size little pile of beautiful firewood here. Let's see here. We'll start on this side because I did get in here and I cleaned up a lot. I got, because there was a bunch of stuff just like sticking way far out. There's still stuff sticking out that I'm gonna have to come back in and clean up. But I mean, this whole area underneath, I basically raked all the I raked out underneath a bunch of the trees up here for like all the real bigger crap, like bigger twigs and branches and stuff, just to make it look cleaner. And over time, my goal is to just get the bottoms cleaned out through a lot of this, so that I can just have a much better chance of you know, just having my property be much more fire protected and stuff like that, so that, you know, and there's nothing going to be like, no small little fires on my own property would ever cause the stuff to go up. You know, I don't want that to ever happen. And obviously if a big fire blows through, there's not much you can do. But anyway, so let's turn around, look at what more cuts we did. All right, so I came through, I cleaned up a little bit. You can tell like one's new, one's old, but somebody broke a damn bottle there. I got to clean that glass up. This one's, I didn't do too much to. Okay, let's walk over to this one. This one I cleaned up quite a bit. Some of this I left in here, like the brush, just because that we still have that trailer. Still have that trailer that's over there that we need to deal with. And I swear, my neighbor has a water tank right on the other side. I'm gonna like get in the queue with all of our other neighbors in the neighborhood to let them know that there's gonna be like a big pile of rubbish getting burned. Don't worry about the smoke. There's no fire. Don't trip. At a time when obviously it's like zero fire danger kind of a situation, where it's been raining or something like that, because some of the stuff's so dry even after it rains. If we can get it thrown in there, throw some gas on it, it's all gonna burn. Anyway, because yeah, I think we'd all like to get that thing out of there. All right, moving over. So I got this tree pretty much completely cleaned up, which honestly makes it look super cool here, because you got this whole open area now. I'm starting to make like kind of a border here. So I got this whole tree cleaned up. And then obviously this is like what it looks like when it's not cleaned up. So this versus this, that's big difference. And then we'll come right through here. So I came in, took some big stuff in here, because most of this tree is going to come out. It's mostly just dead, and there's not a lot of like good stuff in here. It'll just end up being really great firewood. Yeah, I might even get some really cool slabs out of here and do some neat things with it, because it's got so many like different branches that come off of it and so many unique little like waves and ripples that it has such a really cool, it has like an awesome grain pattern. And so for like the little stands that I plan to make with the antlers for like little jewelry hangers, I think that some of this wood that's on this property will like end up making some of the coolest little like just little blanks, little wood, you know, little 12-inch discs. Anyway, all right, so yeah, and then we've got a pile over here. I decided over here that it's very rocky over here. So it's not going to be super usable right in this space very well. So I ended up making it more of like a rubbish pile, or just a place to kind of put some of the rubbish out of the way. And then, dun, 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 I kind of gave away the grand finale. Speaking of projects that I say are going to take a lot longer than you think they're going to take, holy crap. Let's go this way. All right, so this is the front side of the property. Can't see. There we go. All right. So this is the front side of the property. 1-8 tree. So that little box right is close to the end. That galvanized pole is basically the end. All right, so then you flip back. We got all these poles in. And look, Ma. Look, Ma. I made me a farm gate. Look, Ma made me a farm gate. Oh, shucks. Man, let me tell you, getting that fence, that little gate set up, that was actually a lot harder. Well, it just takes a lot of work. It's just a lot to it with the wire. And then especially my fingers were so sore after doing all this work, fishing, everything. It just bending all this wire and doing it all, just, oh my gosh, tearing my fingers up today. I think it came out all right. Old school style. Try to see if I can do this one-handed. Maybe not. My hands are so sore. All right, we almost got it. Okay. So we got her one-handed. We're hooked down there at the bottom. I'm just gonna step through. And actually, it's time to leave, so I'm gonna go ahead and just open her up. So just gonna step on. Lift her out. Open her like this. Only problem with that is that if you bend that too far back and forth too many times, it'll end up wanting to. You bend that back and forward too many times, this shitty galvanized wire will end up wanting to break. But that's it, guys. I just wanted to do a real quick walk around on the property, take a good little video, just a nice walk around. Oh, we got a lot done. Let's see here. Let's see it coming down this way, actually. I should have seen. So, yeah, it looks much more open over there and over here, especially because of the fact that there was literally a whole tree right here that I cut down. That one that I showed the stump of. So now, what I'm thinking is, my dad can either pull up over into here, or we can pull up right here, and then you can back a trailer or even maybe the storage container right here. You know, I got that room made by cutting that tree out, and then I just need to clean up a little bit more right here, and then just a little more out from underneath these here. But I think it looks beautiful. I got a bunch of rubbish and wood that I can clean up and get more for firewood, stash that way. We got the dog's yard over here. I still need to move this tree and this tree in order to be able to put what I would love to kind of put is like a little cabin right over here. I kind of have the idea of building like a little cabin with like a long awning, because the sun does kind of sit high and shine in this way. So it's like if you face that way, you're gonna have the house be beat on the front side. But I always feel like that's the better option, to have a house be beat on the front side, if anything, because if you can, you know, that way if you want to have like where you're going to sleep on the back side or on the back corner. Besides, these spaces are so small, if they get warm, you just run some air. Anyway, but yeah, I think this is going to be it. I just need to get the right stuff in here to like build the platform or something like that, because I don't want to build it janky. I want to build it right, and it's going to take a lot of money and a lot of time and effort, and I'll probably have to get some help. And so yeah, but if I did it, I think it would just end up looking so freaking cool. Because just imagine area right here, you've got like, you know, somewhere starting right in here, it's like a good little square of a cabin right here, right? And then you've got your awning pushed out that way a little bit, so you've got the block from the sun. So you got a shade covering the front of the house. Then you got, let's say we bring the fence all the way around the whole thing. That's what I have some of these posts already up for. And then that's just basically, I did that just so I could basically do a temporary one just for the times where I come up here to put the dogs. But then you'll have all this space to be able to see all down in here into the bottom of this wash. And there's a whole bunch down lower where there's a lot of those trees that I've already talked about, I think, in a past video, but I want to get in there and I want to clear a bunch of those trees out to make even more space so that you can still kind of see that hillside across the way, because it just gives it like a full view. And down in the bottom of this wash, I mean, there's tracks all over the place. Every time I come here, fresh deer tracks. There's deer, elk that come walking through this ravine right here at the bottom of this property. So, you know, having a lot of this trees cleared away, and then having this property set up right here like that, I just think it'll look so cool. Being able to have that nice overlook, and then every once in a while, you know, you might look out the freaking porch and see a deer or elk. I actually have a couple motion cameras that I have them with me. I just forgot to buy batteries for them, and I don't have the time. I need to buy SD cards too. So and I'm not actually storing anything on the property at this particular moment. That sign was basically this trip was basically to get the property ready to bring something up here, like bring a trailer up here, bring that storage container up here, know where the fuck I'm gonna put it, how I'm gonna set it up, or where I'm gonna put it, you know, where I'm gonna put it, how I'm gonna set it up. Because even for me, even if I put a fifth wheel, I can still put a fifth wheel or a camper right here if this is what ends up happening and I end up having to go that route, you know, and I can put an awning or something like that out in front of it. It might not be the most ideal to just put it where it's just gonna get beat in the sun. It probably would make more sense for me to go ahead and put it somewhere where it's not going to get beat in the sun, you know, and just put it in between the trees and use it. But I don't know. I got to think about it a little bit more. I'm not too worried about it because I almost like this yard, because just imagine I get this incredible sun all day long. Imagine I just get a nice little solar array put on the top of my cabin, you know what I mean? And even if I decide not to mount it, because everybody hates on rooftop mounted solar. If I decide not to mount it, I could even put a rack up there, you know what I mean? And like just very primitively mount the rack, and there's lots of different ways. Yeah, I think it's the battery and the inverter that just has to be away from the property. I think the solar can be on there, but you just have to have the battery and the inverter housed away from the actual living structure. And that's like part of the county issue with stuff here. Either way, it doesn't matter. With this much sun in the front, I can just have solar panels stretched out here in my front yard and be powering everything, you know, with this much sun exposure. But it's just awesome to have this many trees on the property with this much sun exposure, and with the fact that like I've been getting back into my desire to do some woodworking. So like my mind is just kind of going crazy with different projects. Like for instance, guys, tell me if you see it. Tell me if you see it. All right. I know I'm kind of crazy, but I kind of have the vision of taking, I know it will look epic, but you see how like the way these trees work. If I dig out around the base of this tree, I'll have to like lose certain limbs for sure. But if I kept like there's like either 3 or 4 of them, like if I kept like this 1, 2, and 3 here, and then just like whack that one straight down. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so whack that one straight down, get this stuff in the middle out of the way, the stuff on the other side cut, and then basically chop it really low so you get the whole stump, and then you just get the bottom parts of the legs, and then you imagine you just take that, you flip it upside down, and then you level the top, level the legs, so that you basically could make a really sick looking little like stool bench thing, you know what I mean, like a small like kind of like corner table, that would just be just an epic freaking, you know, wood stump corner table. You right now, when I start to get into it, when I start to do a couple little projects with this wood, you guys are going to see the grain and just the features that this gnarly twisting juniper wood creates is pretty incredible. I just have to like look up, you know, how to do it all, because it obviously, I notice it cracks really quickly, so I need to figure out how to seal it properly, how to age it properly, do all the kinds of things to make sure I can work with it properly and all that. But whittle some things. All right guys, that's it. I am done. I left the gate open because I didn't even realize, I thought I did turn it off to make this video. I've just been letting my car run for the last but yeah, we're loaded up, we're out. It's been real. I wish I would have made more videos about all the work that I did and everything, but I just did not have enough time and energy. I just did not. I was so worked on this whole endeavor. But I'll tell you what, it feels very like satisfying to have put this much work, and because I sacrificed a lot of time and money to come up here on this trip to do this, but to have everything be so much more set up, the wood, having the sign, you know, having basically this documentation, all right, that I'm here, all my stuff's here, I'm investing a lot of time and money into this property so that, you know, I have better protections against squatters and different things like that, you know. It just is, it means a lot, you know. It took a long time for this property to kind of feel like it's mine, you know, and the more time and effort I put into it, the more it feels like it's mine. And you know, I made more of a relationship with my neighbor. I got to borrow a tool from him, you know, short notice, needed a little screwdriver I didn't realize I didn't bring with me. His dog loves me. So funny, like comes to the fence over close to where I was camping and will just bark until I come over to say hi. I'm a sucker anyway, so he trained me real quick to bark and get me to come. Anyway, going to Nelson's and being able to catch a bunch of fish. Like, I've never been able to catch trout like that off of lures, and just been able to just go down the bank and just hammer them one after the other. Just beautiful, high mountain, red meat trout. Just, oh, I really couldn't have asked to have made better time and use out of the sacrifice that I made to come up here, you know, to accomplish some of these things. And so I'm just very, very happy. I have one day tomorrow to basically do laundry, go to the grocery store, put everything away, and try and like relax slash recover, because technically just doing all of that stuff's going to be a day of a project in and of itself. It won't be that bad. I'm being dramatic. But anyway, guys, I know I made this a really long video. I probably should have cut this up into a bunch of different stuff. But, you know, yeah, I just needed to freaking get on here and make it. I had to delete a bunch of stuff even to be able to record this because I did this whole trip and I did not do what I wanted to do. I even brought my little camera tripod. I had my GoPro, my chesty. I could have been having my GoPro on while I was catching all those fish, while I was, you know, recording myself while I was hooking into them and reeling them in and all that. I could have had it all on camera. And I just, like, I get too into a rush because it takes time to prepare all that stuff. And the more time you spend to slow down, to deal with cameras and issues with the cameras and batteries and setups and this and that, the more of a pain in the ass it really is. It really is a pain in the ass. So it takes a lot of the time that you get to have to do the things. So it's like, do you want to do more of the fishing or getting the things done, or do you want to get it on camera? You have to really ask yourself that. But the thing is, I really do want to grow the channel, and I really do want to bring great content to you guys that take the time to watch this. If you stayed around and have watched all 26 minutes of me rambling, you're a fucking real friend, and I really do love you. And even if, you know what I'm saying, you jumped in it towards later in the video or something like that, whatever the case may be, if nobody told you they love you today, I do. I feel like you should send love to everybody. Even people that are in bad places in their lives doing bad things are able to be redeemed and to change and to do good and be good members of society again. I didn't mean to go down a soapbox and start getting preachy. That's how fucking tired I am. That's how you know I'm exhausted. I'm just saying, send love. Thank y'all for checking it out. I'm going to be bringing a bunch more content for you guys here at White Mountain Outdoors. There's a bunch of gear I need to start going through and start showing what I think about it. I got to put this little Champion 2500 generator through its paces while I was up here, and I have to say that I'm definitely impressed with that as well. So, guys, love y'all. Check back later.